Hey everybody, Josh Assad and Ryan Connolly here from the Mosaic Real Estate team at Keller Williams, and we're here for another episode of Pieces of Western New York, where we interview cool people doing cool things that make Western New York a cooler place to be. Today we're at Wayland Brewing, and I gotta say, this is one of my favorite places in Western New York. It is super fun. I can't wait to show it to you. Let's go check it out. All right, so now we are with Brewmaster PJ Dunn. He does all the brewing here at Wayland, and I'm so excited to talk with you because there's one thing I like to talk about, it's beer. So thanks so much for having us.
Sure, thanks for coming.
So one of the things that I immediately noticed about being here and having beer is that there's a ton of options, right?
Yeah.
Like so many different beer choices in all different varieties. But also that so many are like lower alcohol content, which makes me happy, so I can try more of them.
Yeah. Even from the first kind of conception of the idea of what eventually became Wayland, the plan was always to have a wide variety of beers. As the guy making the beer, that's interesting to me, that keeps every day interesting. But also I wanted to be a place where we have something for everyone. And I think the lower alcohol beers also kind of play into that. Yeah. I know when I go out with my wife or my family or my friends, I don't want to drink really high alcohol beers, really strong beers, because I'm pretty conscientious about that. You got to worry about driving home, and
right.
I'm trying to be a responsible adult. So, but really I have a lot of fun playing with beers that are below 6 and sometimes even below 5 or 4%. And I think that has been pretty well received by the folks that are coming here and drinking them.
Well, I appreciate it. So what are you drinking then?
This one is the 𝐟𝐸𝐫𝐿, which we call a New Zealand Pilsner, but it's a Pilsner hopped with a bunch of different New Zealand grown varieties of hops.
So I tried this a week or two ago, and I felt like it was almost like I'm an IPA guy.
Yep.
And I loved that the hops were in there because it was just a subtle amount, which made me happy as an IPA guy, but it didn't seem to be too hoppy.
I mean, there's a fair amount of hops in it, but the utilization of the hops, where you use them in the process, can affect whether they're bitter or whether they're fruity or aromatic. In this particular beer, we skewed towards the latter part of that, where we're just trying to get the fruity flavors and the aromas out of those and not so much bitterness.
So I'm drinking the House Lager, which is, I think, my favorite beer here. And this is the one that I couldn't get forever because everybody else likes it apparently too, right?
Yeah. Well, part of the problem there is, and this is something we're working on, we only have 6 fermentation tanks right now, and that is our bottleneck. So, and the problem with House Lager and a few of the other beers is that they take 8 weeks to make.
And oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, there are ways to speed it up, but I won't do it because that's to compromise the quality of the beer, in my opinion. So, we stay true to what the beer is supposed to be, and eventually we'll get more tanks with bigger tanks, and I'll be able to keep up with our demand here. But for the time being, it kind of comes and goes a little bit.
So how many options for different varieties of drinks do you have here, right? You've created quite a few.
Yeah, at the current moment, there are 16 on draft house-made beverages, but in our first, we're almost to 1 year. I think it's next week is 1 year. We've made 42 different beers.
Yeah, I can't keep up with them all.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yep.
It's a lot of work.
Yep.
So how do you come up with all these recipes?
Part of it, I had about 15 years of home brewing experience where I kind of built up a quiver of recipes that I could draw from. And then some of them, especially like the IPAs, they are, there's kind of a template that I work off of. And, there's multiple variables that I change, but it's not a wholly new concept every time. We're building off of things we've already done.
So your home brewing experience translates into, something at this scale?
Yeah. Yeah,
wow.
For sure. Yeah.
I mean, one of the things that I love that I also immediately noticed here is that most of the beers are just really drinkable, right? So we talked about alcohol content, we talked about variety, but so many of them are just really well rounded and well balanced, is that they're not on the spectrum over here or there. So I appreciate that they're all very drinkable.
Thanks. Yeah, that's pretty intentional every time we construct a recipe, and that's how I like them to be, and I think that's how the majority of folks like their beers, and so that's what we go for.
So how did you end up in Western New York, right? Because you didn't grow up around here.
No, I'm originally from Western Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh area.
Okay.
And then my family moved to the Rochester area when I was a teenager. I went to Geneseo, then I went back to Pittsburgh for about 5 years.
Okay.
And at that time, I was working for Fortune 500, and they assigned me a project in Western New York. And the initial offer was to commute, middle of the week. And I had a bunch of friends from college. I knew Buffalo pretty well, and I said, I'll just go. And it was about a year-long assignment. I thought if I want to stay, I'll stay, and if I don't, I won't. And that was in 2011. So. Lived on the west side of Buffalo for the first 3 years, and then my wife and I moved to East Aurora and started a family about 10 years ago.
Wow. So it was by chance that you ended up in Western New York, but what do you think made you stay? Made you want to stay?
I think part of it, it is a very friendly place to live, and I've lived in other places. I've visited lots of other places. I used to travel for work a lot. There is something about the personality of Buffalo. It is a very friendly and welcoming city. I was a Bills fan already, so that made it easier.
That's critical.
Yeah, but the weather didn't really scare me, and really I don't think it's that bad, but a couple weekends a year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like it here. One of the things that I don't miss about Pittsburgh was the traffic is really bad, and the traffic here is never terrible.
Yeah.
You can get anywhere in Western New York in 20 minutes.
Right.
And I think also my wife and I like to go out and eat. We like to try new places and new things, and I feel like we do have kind of an embarrassment of riches in Western New York of lots of different great, options that are unique to this area, and some of those we both know are starting to get some, national recognition.
Right.
But yeah, for somebody who likes food and likes to get around and low cost of living, it's been working out pretty well for me.
Man, an embarrassment of riches. I've never heard that, but I
Yeah.
like it. That's pretty good. Yeah, I agree. Like the fact you can get anywhere in 20 minutes. You can be in the woods in 20 minutes. You
Yep.
can be in the city. You can get a good meal. You can go into the city and have a good meal and still get back to the woods if you want to.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that is a unique thing for Western New York to have that and still have all these offerings. So, man, that's really great to hear.
Yeah.
Coming from a non-Western New York native.
Yeah.
Well, hey, thanks so much for having us. It's really a pleasure to talk with you.
Sure.
And I'm always going to really enjoy drinking your beer, so thank you for doing that with me.
Yeah.
And cheers. We will catch you next time.
All right.
And we will see you next time on Pieces of Western New York. Enjoy.